Don't expect us at your wedding. We're too busy. My dad wrote that on a sticky note. I ripped it up, then I destroyed their $5,200 rent agreement, disconnected my account from their bills, and transferred the title of their car to my name to donate it. Don't expect us at your wedding. We're busy. My dad wrote it on a sticky note. Not a call, not a text, just a sticky note. It was bright yellow, stuck on my fridge like a grocery list. I stood there holding it, feeling like it was proof of something I should have already known. Maybe I had known it for years but didn't want to admit it. Reading those 8 words that hurt more than any fight, felt like hearing, "You were never the child we wanted." I remember exactly what happened next. I took the note, tore it in half, then again, and then into little pieces. After that, I grabbed the rent deal I'd negotiated for them. I'd arranged it so they could live in a 3-bedroom apartment for half the price, but I ripped that up too. I disconnected my account from their electricity, water, gas, and every other bill they'd never thanked me for. Then I took the car, a 2016 Mazda CX-5 I bought for them to help with their bad credit, and donated it to a charity for single moms. Later that night, I changed the locks. That should have been the end. But people like them don't let you go when you finally stand up for yourself. They turn you into the bad guy in their story. For years, I played the role of the quiet helper, the loyal fool, and their financial crutch, until that sticky note. That note turned something inside me. Maybe it woke up the part of me that could finally say no, and that's where this story really starts. I wasn't always like this. I used to pick up their calls right away. I used to send my mom $150 for groceries every 2 weeks. I used to fill up the gas tank before they noticed it was low. I even covered their Netflix, Spotify, and my sister's parking tickets. They owed me over $12,000 at one point, but I never said anything about it. I was the good son, the one they could always count on. They didn't worry about money because I always took care of it. Things changed 2 years ago when Dad lost his job. He called it early retirement, but it was really a layoff after too many complaints. Mom called it a blessing. Now we get to spend more time together, she said. But more time meant more bills, and more bills meant more messages asking for help. It never stopped. The $5,200 rent deal I set up was supposed to help them. But they still wanted more. My sister Claire moved back in, bringing her boyfriend Max. They stayed in my old room. A few months later, I started noticing things were disappearing, like a $100 Amazon gift card I'd left out for Dad's birthday. Then $300 vanished from the emergency account I'd set up for them. When I asked, Dad got angry. "We're not thieves, Oliver. Don't act like you own us." I let it go, but I started paying more attention. Then I saw the Facebook post. Claire had posted a picture at an expensive restaurant, with a caption saying, "My baby always spoils me." In the background was my mom, sitting at the same table, holding a wine glass. I checked the restaurant's reservation list using Dad's old email and found they'd charged $480 to the same card I was using to pay their rent. I printed the receipt but didn't confront them yet. I wanted to see how far it went. The next week, Claire asked for help with her credit. She said an ex had ruined it by opening fake accounts under her name. I checked and found out that wasn't true. She had racked up debt from luxury skincare and concert tickets. I didn't confront her right away. The worst part was when Dad posted a video of me walking out of a store with groceries in the family group chat. He added a sticker that said, "Our errand boy," and captioned it, "Guess who's picking up dinner again? Thanks, wallet." Everyone laughed. I didn't respond, but I saved everything, screenshotted the chat, saved the video. A week later, I got a notification that someone had used my name to open a new utility account at their address. I checked and found that Dad had been stealing from me digitally. That's when I realized they didn't see me as family. They saw me as an ATM. The final straw came when I went over for what was supposed to be a quiet dinner. Mom was making soup, and Dad was watching TV. That's when everything changed. Claire and Max were watching a loud TikTok video. On the counter, I saw an envelope with my name on it. Inside, there was a sticky note that simply said, "Don't expect us at your wedding. We're busy." No explanation, no reason, just another petty move from them. I looked up, and Dad didn't react. "Thought you'd want it in writing," he said, taking a sip of his beer. Claire laughed and said, "We're going to the Algarve that weekend. Priorities, bro." That moment changed everything for me. I smiled, left quietly, and decided to cut all ties with them. I had already seen their dinner invitation by intercepting a message Mom had sent to a group chat she forgot I was in. The invite was for a small family-only dinner at the same restaurant where they'd spent my money before. I RSVP'd under a fake name, then booked the table next to theirs. I wasn't going to let this slide. I brought back up Claire's ex, Theo. He was the one she said had cheated and hurt her, but he was nothing like she described. When I reached out to him with proof of her lies, he didn't ask questions, he just agreed to help. We met before dinner, and I gave him everything, screenshots, audio files, and documents showing how Claire had faked accusations against him. He also had a restraining order draft he never filed, showing that he had been afraid of her. When we got to the restaurant, the hostess tried to stop us, but I showed her my ID and said I had a reservation next door. We walked in, and the look on my mom's face was priceless. Claire dropped her phone, and Dad just blinked, confused. "Oliver," he said, standing up too fast. "This is Z." I smiled and said, "Perfect timing. Thanks for reserving a seat for me." I sat down, and Theo joined me. I dropped a flash drive on the table and said, "Let's talk about family." I started with the video. I played it on the restaurant's TV. It was Claire's voice from files I had found on her computer. One clip showed her saying, "If Oliver ever gets married, I hope they leave him at the altar." Another one said, "He's not family. He's funding. That's different." My mom gasped, and Dad slammed his fist on the table, but the video kept playing. Next, I showed screenshots of texts Claire had edited to make it look like I said things I didn't. I also gave them the plan she'd made to ruin me if I left her. It included fake assault accusations and plans to mess with my job. Theo opened his folder and showed photos and notes from Claire's plan to destroy him too. Dad stood up again, furious. "Where did you get this?" I looked at him and said, "Your old laptop. The one you gave Claire. She never wiped it." He looked at Claire, who was frozen, pale. I wasn't done. I introduced another guest, Marta, the landlord who had the lease for the $5,200 rent deal. She had proof that Dad forged my signature on documents to renew the lease. "I didn't sign this," I said. "I revoked access weeks ago." Marta confirmed that someone had printed the lease, backdated it, and made it look like I had signed it. My mom's wine glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. I turned to Dad. "You forged my signature on a legal document. You owe us everything." Dad hissed, "We gave you a life." I stood up slowly and replied, "No, you gave me debt. Silence and damage I had to fix in therapy." Then I pulled out the sticky note. I had enlarged it, printed it on a card, and held it up like evidence. "This is how you are SVP'd. Let me return the favor." I dropped 3 envelopes on the table, legal documents for utility disconnection, the car title transfer to my name, the car I donated to a shelter, and a donation certificate. The room went quiet. Theo added calmly, "She lied to all of you. And I'm filing a civil suit tomorrow." Claire screamed, "I hate you," she shouted at me, and Dad lunged at me, but Marta stepped in front of him. "You're lucky the lease fraud isn't being reported today," she said coldly. I turned to the staff and said, "Sorry for the scene, we'll be leaving." Before I walked away, I leaned toward my father and said, "Next time you write a note, don't stick it to my fridge, stick it to your own mirror." The fallout came quickly. Theo posted everything online, screenshots, recordings, dates, everything Claire had done to him, and it went viral. By morning, it reached her job, and she lost it. In the afternoon, she sent me one message, "You turned everything upside down." I didn't reply. I forwarded it to Theo, who added it to his court folder. Dad disappeared from social media. I sent an anonymous tip about the forged lease to his old employer. Marta followed through and reported him for digital fraud. The police haven't pressed charges yet, but the investigation is open. Meanwhile, the utilities at their apartment got disconnected. I waited 72 hours after the dinner to turn everything off: electricity, gas, internet. They had to either find new housing or admit I was the one keeping the lights on for years. They chose to complain on Facebook. My mom posted, "Family should forgive, not destroy." Some people felt sorry for her, but one cousin pointed out, "Didn't you once say Oliver wasn't invited to Christmas because you didn't want to deal with his face?" That comment got 340 likes. Mom deleted the post, but I already saved it and made it public. I created a Google Drive folder called "This is what family looks like." Inside, there was a video of my dad shouting at a woman younger than him at a restaurant, screenshots of Claire's fake messages, the sticky note, and proof of $27,000 in payments over 3 years. There was also a recording of my dad saying, "You owe us everything." I didn't shout or beg for sympathy. I just let the facts speak for themselves, clear, cold, and undeniable. I posted the link on Reddit, Twitter, and a local blog called Quiet Cutoffs, a site for people who go no contact with toxic families. The post went viral. In just a few days, I was invited for podcast interviews. One YouTuber with 700K followers called it the most surgical family breakdown I've ever seen. I didn't speak publicly, though. The story did all the talking. My phone started blowing up with messages. Dad left a voicemail that started calm but turned into a rant. He said, "You're turning people against us. You've destroyed your name. No one's going to love a man who turns on his family." I saved it, calling it final threat. Claire texted 3 times, saying, "You win. Good luck with your wedding. I'm going to sue you for defamation." She never did. Why? Because 2 days later, I posted something new, a photo of the donation certificate for the car I took back, framed and hanging on the wall of a women's shelter. The caption read, "For every time I was told I only existed to serve, now my name helps people who actually matter." The shelter asked me to volunteer, and I said yes. That same day, I cut all ties with my family. I removed myself from their bank accounts, phone plans, and digital services. Even my dad's old HBO Max login got deactivated mid-episode. I cut them out completely and started something new. I launched a Substack called Stories of Invisible Children, Silent Scapegoats, and Polite Exit Wounds. Within 2 weeks, I had 9,000 subscribers, 3 essay features, and 1 syndication deal. My second post was called The Sticky Note That Started a Revolution. I began with a single line. They said they were busy on my wedding day, so I got busy making sure they'd never attend anything else again. They didn't come to my wedding. A week before, I got an envelope with no return address, but the handwriting was my mom's. Inside was an email thread between her and a local pastor. She was asking him to help bring me back to the family, saying, "He's being brainwashed by internet strangers. He's lost. We just want to see our boy get married." No apology, just a fantasy where I was the one who went off track. The pastor never responded. I framed that letter and hung it in my new home office. Next to it, a plaque read, "Busy forever." The wedding was simple. Only 42 guests, no blood relatives. My wife wore gold, not white, because we didn't want to pretend it was a fairy tale. We dressed like survivors. When we said our vows, I didn't promise to love her forever. I promised to love her loudly, to never go silent like I did with my family, to never ask her to shrink so I could grow. My best man was Theo, Claire's ex. We'd become real friends. He ended his speech with, "Some people are born into families, others claw their way into one. I'd choose this one any day." The applause felt louder than usual, maybe because it was the first time I truly believed it. 3 days after the wedding, I got another voicemail from Dad. No, congrats. Just him breathing heavily. Then, "You're making a name for yourself now, but don't forget your last name still comes from me." It was his last attempt to threaten me, trying to use my last name like a leash. I uploaded it to my Substack, titled, "When the Man Who Abandoned You Still Thinks He Owns Your Initials." That post went viral. People started tagging me in photos of torn-up sticky notes. One therapist even hung it in her office. That's when I realized I hadn't just survived them, I'd rewritten the ending. I never saw Claire again, but I did get a letter from her lawyer. She wanted the car back, the one I donated. She said losing it was emotionally distressing. I mailed her a USB drive with a video of her laughing with Max in my childhood bedroom, saying, "Oliver is basically my walking credit card." It's kind of cute. No response after that. 6 months later, I opened a new business account, not for a tech startup or a podcast, but for a publishing company called Sticky Note Press. The tagline, "We print stories the family won't." The first book was my own, titled "Do Not Expect Us at Your Wedding. We're Busy." The dedication was for the version of me who stayed silent. He deserved better. The book hit number 3 on the small nonfiction charts. I didn't do a book tour, but I did one local radio interview. When they asked if I'd ever reconcile, I smiled and said, I did reconcile with the truth. They were never my people. The next day, I changed my number. No announcement, no text, just silence. I stood at the post office, held the old SIM card over the trash, and let it fall. No one even knew it was gone. That's when it hit me. They weren't calling anymore, not because they understood, but because they finally realized I don't respond to ghosts. Now, I live quietly, new apartment, no shared mailboxes, no shared accounts, no shared pain. My wife and I keep Sunday mornings sacred. We drink strong coffee, sit on the balcony, and sometimes, when a sticky note flutters off a neighbor's fridge and lands on ours, we both laugh. Because now, when I see those yellow squares, I don't think of family, I think of fire, and how sometimes it's not enough to cut the cord, you have to burn the script.